AITA for telling my sister her kid ruined my wedding and she owes me $12,000? Okay, so 32F, got married 3 months ago. My husband and I spent 2 years planning this wedding because we both come from pretty chaotic families and we wanted one day that felt controlled, beautiful, and drama-free. We paid for everything ourselves. No loans, no parents, no sponsors. Just us grinding and saving. Because it was expensive and we didn't want chaos, we decided on a child-free wedding. This was stated on the invitation, on our wedding website, and personally told to everyone. Most people were completely fine with it. Everyone except my older sister, Hannah, 35F. Hannah has a 5-year-old son, Leo. I love my nephew, but he is a lot. He's the kind of kid who needs constant supervision, melts down easily, and touches absolutely everything in sight. Still, I wasn't excluding him specifically, it was all kids. I repeated that to her multiple times. Hannah complained but eventually said, fine, I'll find a sitter. Or so I thought. Fast forward to the wedding day. I'm in the bridal suite getting my makeup done when my cousin runs in and whispers, don't freak out, but Hannah brought Leo. I thought it was a joke. No way. And no way would she blatantly ignore a clearly stated boundary on my literal wedding day. I walked out, and sure enough, there he was in a tiny suit, running up and down the hallway with a handful of petals he had stolen from the florist's cart. Hannah just shrugged and said, the sitter canceled last minute. What was I supposed to do? Leave him alone? He's family. You won't even notice he's here. I should have told her to leave right then. I should have put my foot down. But I didn't want to cause a scene on my wedding day. So I just told her to keep him supervised and away from everything. Spoiler, she did not. Because during the reception, while the photographer was setting up our glass platform cake display, a centerpiece I had dreamed about for years and paid way too much money for, Leo somehow wriggled under the table, kicked one of the supporting acrylic legs, and sent the entire 5-tier cake toppling over. 5 tiers. Custom design. Hand-painted. Sugar flowers. 48 hours of professional work. $3,800 just for the cake, not even counting the destroyed rented structure, the rush-ordered replacement desserts, or the floral setup that got squashed underneath. The photographer got photos, the entire venue went silent, and Hannah's first reaction was, he's just a kid. I didn't even react that day, I was too numb and trying not to cry. But after the honeymoon, I sent her an itemized breakdown of everything that had been damaged or needed replacing, which totaled $12,462. And I told her she needed to pay it. She lost it. Called me cruel, materialistic, obsessed with aesthetics, and said I was punishing her for being a mother. Apparently, I should have had better safety measures if I didn't want things broken. We haven't spoken since. My mom is begging me to drop it because family shouldn't charge family, but my husband fully agrees with me. So now I'm here wondering, am I the asshole for telling my sister her kid ruined my wedding and she owes me $12,000? The days after I sent Hannah the itemized bill were honestly worse than the actual cake incident. At first, she didn't respond at all. No apology. No acknowledgement. Nothing. Then, about 24 hours later, she sent one long text that basically boiled down to, I'm not paying. You're heartless. It was an accident. You knew what Leo is like. If your precious cake was that fragile, you shouldn't have had it at kid height. I didn't respond immediately because I didn't want to write something I'd regret. But apparently my silence was manipulative because she started blowing up our family group chat. And that's when the flying monkeys activated. My mom. Sweetheart, children don't understand boundaries. It was an accident. My uncle. It's just a cake. My grandmother. Money comes and goes, but family is forever. My cousin, the only sane one. It wasn't just a cake. It was thousands of dollars of damage. Hannah, meanwhile, kept repeating that I was shaming a child and demanding money a single mom doesn't have. For the record, she and her husband both have stable incomes. They're not struggling. They're just entitled. Finally, after 2 days, I replied privately to her. I told her the issue wasn't Leo. The issue was her ignoring a clear boundary, bringing him anyway, not supervising him, and then refusing to take responsibility. If she had apologized sincerely and offered to cover even part of it, I probably would have softened. But she hadn't even said sorry. Not once. Her response? You're being dramatic. It's done. Move on. That was the moment something in me snapped. I told her, very plainly, your child ruined my wedding. And instead of being responsible, you're acting like I should be grateful he didn't break more. If you can't pay the full amount, we can set up a payment plan. Apparently suggesting a payment plan was insulting because she immediately called me, screaming and yelling that I always looked down on her parenting, that I hate her child, and that I think I'm better than everyone because I had a fancy wedding. Then she said the line that still pisses me off to this day. You should have expected something like this if you invited family. After that, I blocked her. I didn't feel guilty, not even a bit. But then my mom started calling daily. multiple times a day, crying, saying she didn't raise me to put money above family, that I was breaking the family apart, that Hannah was devastated and embarrassed. Mom asked, begged me to apologize to Hannah and let it go. I told her I wouldn't. Not unless Hannah apologized first and accepted responsibility. Mom said, that will never happen. You know how she is. And I said, exactly. Now half my extended family thinks I'm a villain, the other half thinks Hannah is unhinged, and my dad is just quietly avoiding everyone. Meanwhile, I still have over $12,000 in damages from a wedding I explicitly made child-free to avoid exactly this. The part that shocked me the most, though? The venue emailed us the security footage. And it showed something I didn't know. Leo didn't just wander under the cake table. Hannah was on her phone the entire time while he crawled around, completely unsupervised. She literally didn't look up once. And that is when my husband suggested something I hadn't even considered. So after seeing the venue security footage, my husband, who is normally the calm, logical one, sat me down and said, if she refuses to pay, we might need to take this to small claims court. I honestly stared at him like he had grown a second head. I'm not the see your family type. I hate confrontation. I didn't even return a sweater my friend spilled wine on once because I didn't want to make her feel bad. But then we rewatched the footage. And watched Hannah, fully engrossed in her phone, not looking up once as Leo crawled, rolled, lay under the cake table, kicked the leg repeatedly, and eventually knocked the whole thing over. She didn't react until she heard the gasp from the room. My husband pressed pause on the clip and said, this wasn't an accident. This was negligence. And that line stuck with me. Because I kept thinking back to her saying, you should have expected something like this if you invited family. No remorse. No apology. No sense of responsibility. Just entitlement and defensiveness. So I told him, I don't want to blow this up worse, but I also don't want to eat 12 grand because she thinks she's above rules. He said, let's give her one more chance. We'll send a formal request. If she refuses again, we'll go forward. So I drafted a short, calm message. Hannah, as you know, our wedding incurred $12,462 in damages due to the cake display being knocked over. We have video confirming that Leo was unsupervised during the incident. At this point, I'm asking you one last time to take responsibility for the damages. Please let me know by Friday whether you will resolve this privately. If not, we will pursue this through small claims court. I stared at that message for 10 minutes before hitting send. My stomach felt like it was full of stones. And I didn't hear anything for 2 days. On the third day, she finally responded, a single, furious paragraph. I was threatening a mother. I was putting money over family. I was unstable and dramatic. And then the big one. If you try to sue me, I will never forgive you and neither will the family. I showed my husband. He just sighed and said, she already doesn't forgive you. But then something wild happened. Her husband called me. This man rarely speaks during family gatherings. I genuinely don't know if I've ever had a full conversation with him. But he called, voice heavy, and said, I saw the video. I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry. I didn't know she brought him. I didn't know you told her not to. I didn't know she ignored you. I didn't expect that. At all. He told me he'd been fighting with Hannah about it for days. She kept insisting it wasn't a big deal, but he said he was tired of covering for her, tired of always being the one to smooth things over, tired of her never being wrong. Then he said something that actually made my jaw drop. If you take us to court, I won't fight it. I'll pay whatever the judge orders. But I'm asking you to hold off for a week. Please. I need to figure out how to handle things here. And he sounded so defeated. So I agreed to give him a week, not for Hannah, but for him. That week is where everything changed. Because during that week, something happened in their household that exploded the entire situation far beyond me, the wedding, or the cake. So I gave Hannah's husband, let's call him Mark, 1 week. I figured maybe he'd talk sense into her, maybe she'd finally apologize, maybe this whole thing would calm down. I was not prepared for what actually happened. Day 3 of the pause. My mom called, frantic, saying Hannah was going through a lot and that I needed to stop attacking her. I asked what was happening and Mom got cagey, like she was trying to protect Hannah but also itching to spill something dramatic. Classic mom. I didn't press. I was tired. Day 5. My cousin messaged me a screenshot from Hannah's private Instagram story, where she wrote, imagine suing your own blood over a cake. Some people don't deserve family. And of course she had posted a photo of Leo sleeping to dial up the pity points. Comments were full of people calling me a monster, but it was the usual echo chamber of her friends who know only her version of events. Whatever. But then, day 7. I came home from work to find 3 missed calls from Mark. I called back immediately. He answered with this strange mix of calm and exhaustion. The kind of tone you get when you've been crying but are too drained to sound emotional anymore. He said, we're separating. I sat down on the edge of my bed because I swear my knees almost gave out. He explained. He and Hannah had been fighting nonstop since the wedding. The video finally pushed things over the edge. He said watching her ignore their child completely, then blame everyone else, felt like a metaphor for the last 5 years. He admitted they'd been having long-term issues about her defensiveness, impulsiveness, and refusal to take responsibility for anything. The cake thing wasn't the cause, it was the catalyst. Their fights got so bad that he took Leo to stay with his parents for a few days. Then he said something that hit me like a punch. She told me she'd rather cut off all her family than admit she was wrong. He apologized again, sincerely, repeatedly, for the damage, for the stress, for everything. Then he said, "My parents and I will cover the cost. Send me the final invoice. I'll write the check." I was honestly speechless. I told him I didn't want to make things harder for him, but he insisted. "You're not the one who made things hard." She did. The next day, he transferred the full $12,462. No arguments. No bitterness. Just resolution. But the aftermath? Oh boy. Hannah found out he paid and absolutely lost her mind. She called me screaming that I had ruined her marriage and turned her husband against her. She said I manipulated him into thinking she's a bad mother and that I planned this from the start. I hung up. I wasn't doing that anymore. Eventually, my mom called and said, "Honey, maybe you weren't wrong, but maybe you didn't need to push it this far." And I told her, calmly, I didn't push anything. She did. Now Hannah isn't speaking to me, to Mark, or to half the family. Mark is moving forward with the separation. Leo is safe with people who actually watch him. And I have the money to cover the damages. But the weirdest part? For the first time in years, our family feels quieter. More peaceful. I didn't want any of this. I just wanted my sister to take responsibility for what happened. Instead, everything she tried to avoid facing finally caught up to her. So, am I the asshole? If this story kept you hooked, give it a like, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more.